Hey guys, welcome to the next part in Let's Play Football Manager 2015 with Derby, and this is a season review for the 2026-27 season. Unfortunately, we couldn't repeat the feat, as we managed to come third this year, not win the Premier League, and unfortunately not replicate the treble of last season. Man United were simply just the best team this year. I don't think I can have too many complaints. They scored the most goals, I think, scored the most goals, got the most points. We were meant to challenge for the title according to the board expectations, and we've done that. So, it could have been a hell of a lot worse, I think, especially if you look at how close, I guess even the top seven, that third to seventh are just separated by, I know it sounds quite a lot, but, I guess if you look back on it now, it's not that many. It's only 8 points. That's a couple of games swing, and you lose one game, they win one, and all of a sudden, jitters everywhere. Let's take a closer look. I'll come back to the other things in a moment. But as you can see, they only lost 7 games. They were the only team, in fact, Man United, there to lose games or amount of games in single figures. There, as you can see, best goal difference, most points scored. As you can see, their dominance again of the 2020s is continuing. Hopefully, we haven't just had a Blackburn moment where we do really well for a season and then just fall away. I certainly hope not. Anyway. Chelsea managed to get the other Champions League spot, City in 5th, Villa in 6th. So a slight move there for them outside the Champions League spots now. Liverpool down in 7th, but Brendan Rodgers is still there. Has not been sacked. West Brom and then come Everton. They managed to get themselves in the top 10. Tottenham slipping slightly into 11th. As you can see, they're on a bit of a downward spiral, Tottenham, and they've become a very mediocre team. Newcastle just about surviving. I think the heydays when I was in charge are very, very much over. But the award for worst season ever goes to Stoke. Okay, maybe not quite the worst season ever. You may remember on FM13 we had Middlesbrough who played 38-1-0. In fact, I think I've seen teams on other people's saves who have played 38, lost 38. But look at that, that stands out at me straight away. Look at that, 94 goals conceded. I mean, that is astonishing. But yeah, that's basically the Premier League. If we look into the bigger picture, unfortunately, we also lost in the FA Cup. We got knocked out by Sunderland of all teams. That was a bit of a shock. Aston Villa managing to win that. Let's have a look at the final there. Winning on penalties against Man United. Let's see who scored and or missed. I guess this guy, Ryan Gould, missed as well. Zenit Burnic, not quite familiar with him. Okay. Carlos Fierro, he's still there. He's 32 now. He's bloody good player still. And yeah, fair play to Villa. They've actually winning things. And you all know about the Capital One Cup. Man United winning that, hammering Newcastle United 5-1 there. Burikov getting a hat-trick. That's a 23-year-old Russian regen. Be afraid of him. They actually took the lead, Newcastle, briefly, and wow, ended up losing 5-1. That really is saying something. Okay, so how did we get on then in our other competitions and so on? So the Champions League. Now, the Champions League is not there, you may notice. I think that's because it's removed itself from the circulation of the competitions. I don't know why it's done that, but I'll just pick up where we last left off. I think it was against Forest, so we'll go from Norwich here. We won 3-2. Oh, sorry, briefly, transfers. I've got to go over transfers and things. I don't think I've brought anyone here extra. I'm just make double short. No, okay, sorry, I just had to make sure. I probably should have done that before we clicked record, but there you go. I'm an amateur, unfortunately. Norwich, anyway, yeah, so Rogerio Cabrera, this was his real first impact into the team, I believe. If we just double check the transfers again, sorry. I probably should have done of that. Yeah, Cabrera, as I say, in the last video I brought him in I guess February, if it's the second there, and he made an impact straight away. I mean, if we look at that game here, where are we? Norwich game, 3-2 straight away. Michael Vernon with the other goal, but I knew I'd got an absolute belter of a player when I seen this. Then we played Stoke, 1-1 draw, not the worst result in the world, but, well, actually it was, because if you saw Stoke conceded 94 goals, I think we really should have made that 95 plus. But Saramago got us out of jail there. Stuart Perry not really living up to the hype of previous seasons. And then this was a bit of a shock against Sunderland in the FA Cup 5th round. Really, I was just expecting us to plough through them. If you look at Sunderland, not great. I mean, 16th in the league. They're not very consistent. They do have Jack Watmo, though, who is, let's say, Jack Wilshere in a wig. A lot of people call him that. That's not my joke, by the way. That's a very common joke. I hate the way it resets itself here. I'm going to have to keep scrolling down. Unfortunately, we went on a bit of a horrible run here. But 2-1, Demarai Gray with a goal, but it just was not happening. Sunderland were just a far better team on the day. We simply couldn't handle them. Sean Fisher had a bad game up front. We were just utterly useless. And it really did not go to plan at all. Yeah, a bit of a shock, a bit of a, what are they called, cup sets nowadays. I think people like to call them cup sets, which I think is an absolutely cringe-worthy term. But there you go, we're in the 2010s. People like to use their putting together words. What's it called? Not metaphors. What's it called? I don't know. It just seems to be a common trait nowadays where people seem to put two words together to make one word, and I think it's a completely ridiculous thing. Anyway, you may notice here, this is 4 games in a row away, which is absolutely obscene. And as you can see, we didn't win any of them. We lost 3-2 at Old Trafford. Cabrera and Granero scoring, but Adrian Sutton, I'm not so sure on this boy. I know he's only 22, and the scouts are lying to me. He really isn't that great. He's very ineffective, especially in the big games, as you see here against United. But yeah, actually, in fact, how many games is that? That's 5 away games in a row. That is stupid. We also lost to Inter, who were way better than I thought. We'll come back to that in a second. We also played Newcastle 2-2 away from home. Got a point again. We got on a really bad spell all of a sudden, and you think, okay, maybe a point isn't too bad, especially if you look at, well, I was going to say isn't too bad, but Newcastle again, Stoke and Newcastle. I think I've got my 2015 head on there when I say, maybe points at St James's Park and at Stoke aren't too bad. It certainly could have been a lot worse, but no, because bear in mind, we're in 2027. Stoke and Newcastle are bad teams. We probably should have won. But getting back to this Inter game just briefly, so we're 2-0 down in the San Siro. Shame, really. They were just too strong. Fran Diaz, who is a very, very good player. I guess the new... I want to say the sort of the new Torres, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in Torres pre-Chelsea. He's a very good player. In fact, Inter have got some really, really good players. Pietro Bartoli, who's a regen. You may remember him from the United days. They sold him at a loss for some reason. I can only assume he wanted to go back to Italy or something. But then again, I don't understand the CPU decision making sometimes. As you can see, we weren't really that effective, and I think I may have even underestimated them, or possibly, dare I say, overestimated our chances as to how good we are. Gallio, so much for big game play. It was poor. Saramago, poor. Vernon, it just did not what happened on the day. Darko Vuko did play very admirably, especially for a 19-year-old. He is maturing immensely well. He is really, really good, especially, as I say, for a 19-year-old. But unfortunately, Inter were just too powerful for us on the day. Going back to the fixture list here, scrolling down. We did beat Liverpool 3-0, which came from nowhere. Jesse Lingard and Paul Todd, of all people. That is, yes, youngster Paul Todd, 21 years old. I'm really sorry. I hope you'll understand that if I don't click off the fixture list anymore, because this is actually annoying me now. Unfortunately, we did beat Tottenham 2-1. So we got some form back now, with Lingard and Gallio. But unfortunately, it was not enough. I will show you this game, actually, as we went down 5-2 on aggregate in the Champions League. Not bad, I guess, for a return to the competition and all that, but no, not really enough, not really good enough. Sutton and Gallio scored, but we still conceded 3. There's Diaz again, Kovacic here, the real player, of course, Croatian. He's been at Inter for years, great player actually, I think he's a really good player. But as you can see, we were, I think, it was like 4-0 down, and then all of a sudden 2 goals back, and I'm thinking, ooh, maybe he's a chance, but I think Eric Dyer is also getting to the end of his road now. He's retiring. He's only 33, and he's actually retiring. And obviously, because the game is just utterly ridiculous, it says things like, okay, retiring. When is he retiring, actually? Oh, it's next season. Sorry, I beg your pardon. He's retiring next season. Where has he gone? don't know what's going on with the UI today. It's terrible. Um, wants a chance in the first team, but he's retiring. Yeah, I don't quite know. I mean, usually you can get away with not playing retirees because they're retiring anyway. They don't give a shit at this point. But yeah, it's just very strange. But unfortunately, this was the end of the line for the Champions League. But I don't think it was too bad overall. A decent run, and we came across a very good Milan team. We'll show you who won that in a moment. But getting back to the Tottenham game, yeah, Gallo and Lingard again scoring, doing very well. Cabrera and Gray again giving us the points as we beat West Brom. Then a 2-2 draw against Hull, not great. Perry rescuing a point for us there. Gallo again, 6.5, horribly inconsistent at times, Gallo. And then this really was a big kick to the teeth because I thought maybe we've lost a bit of that bite from last season. Maybe a bit of luck as well, but certainly a bit of that bite. Vernon with 2 goals, but Roy not playing well. Sutton, I don't think I've made some good... Like Santa Maria. Like Santa Maria was very inconsistent, but Adrian Sutton is just a rubbish player. And then things got worse. So Swansea, who've been a bogey team of mine for years, beat us again. Francis having a poor game this time, so too Vuko. So, and everything he's done well against Inter there has just gone to pot completely. And then this really was massively concerning for me. We lost 3-1 to Huddersfield. Actually, I was kind of afraid I was going to get sacked at this point because if we look at this run here, I mean, how many games is that? It's 3, 6, 9. That's about, what was it, 13 or 14 games or something, and we've won 3. It's not great, is it? Ironically, against Liverpool, Tottenham, and West Brom, I mean, especially Liverpool 3-0, who have kind of been downgraded a little bit, to be honest with you, Liverpool. They're not great on this save at the minute. I think they're in a transitional... I was going to say they're in a transitional period. When have Liverpool not been in a transitional period over the last 6 years, honestly? But we bounced back with Brighton, smashing them 4-0, Saramago, Gallo and Cook scoring. This was a lot easier. Again, another away game, but finally won. But we needed this. I think we needed to come across Brighton, who I think they got relegated as well. I think they're not doing great in the league. And then we kind of corrected ourselves and finished the season off strongly. But this was the period, I think, definitely where, in fact, not even that period, just this period here. This is when all hopes of a title challenge just were deader than shit. Just completely lost it here. Arsenal, this was always going to be hard, but the 5 goals... harsh. I think it's always that case of I think you're losing 2 or 3-1. You might as well lose it 4 or 5-1 and go for it rather than just being a bit more cautious and things. It doesn't really work. A 0-0 against City, which I guess wasn't too bad. At least we're keeping clean sheets now. I was more concerned with that at this point. We conceded, as you can see. Last time we got a clean sheet was Liverpool, and before that, crikey, it was all the way back to before Christmas with Brighton. So I was kind of at that point. Wasn't too disappointed. We got a clean sheet. I'll take it. Consecutive clean sheets for. In fact, when was the last time we had consecutive clean sheets? Jesus, wow, November. That really is a cause for concern. But we finished the season fairly strongly. 3-0 against Sunderland. Bit of retribution there for the FA Cup knockout. And then we lost unfortunately against Everton. I'll show you this one, might as well. Jonas Hoffman, who is a real player, 34-year-old now. He's at Man United for a while. Currently at Mainz, I think that is. Could be at Dortmund, although on loan from Dortmund. This was annoying. Really frustrating, but it didn't really matter at that point. I think we'd already had third place already sewn up. Confirmed Champions League. So not a great end, to be honest with you. Not a great end to the season. I think this team is probably going to need to be changed a little bit now. I'm looking at... The problem is a lot of the younger players are still too young, I guess. Vuko, 19 years old, is going to be a great player. We're just going to keep playing him. Haroy's the same. Todd's the same. Fisher's he's a very useful squad player, not more than that. His value is a lot higher because he plays for the top team. His value is very much, very, very what's it called? Sorry, my mind's gone blank. I can't think of the word. It's very deceiving. That's the one. God, I'm sorry. I'm half asleep today. I do apologise. Very deceiving price tag there. He's not that great a player, but he is very handy to have in the squad. Especially he's English. He's Derby fan. That type of thing. Mahoney now is getting on a little bit now. He's 30 years old. He's probably got a year or two left in him, perhaps. At this level, I'm talking about, top level. Roberts, great. Lingard now as well is 34. I don't know how much more he's got left. Not coming into the team soon now. I do have to ask questions on Adrian Sutton though. Brought in for £14.5 million, 2 league goals. I know he's got 9. He scored 4 in the Cups, which is admirable. 3 in Europe. But 2 league goals. I know he didn't play all that much. But the reason he didn't play much was because he wasn't scoring me goals. I know it sounds like a bit of a vicious circle there. He needs to play to score goals, but he's not playing, so he can't score goals. But he needs to be able to just get a consistent run in the team. And once he's done that, but I'm not sure. Like, if I can sell him for a profit, I think I might do. Also, he's not. I don't know why I brought him in. To be honest with you, I don't like tall target men. They're not my type of players. I know some of you guys might prefer that in a team. You might like, excuse me. You might like big, players you can lump the ball up to. I'm not one of them. I enjoy my pacey small players who can get in and around everyone. Through them. You sort of flair type players essentially, and Adrian Sutton is not one of them. So, moving on anyway. To, of course, the other side of the coin, Italy. How did we get on with this? So we qualified, or we are qualifying. I think it's the same. Well, I say that. I mean, we're actually struggling. We haven't qualified at all. Because I wanted to say, actually, we're doing really well. In fact, we're not. There's been a bit of a shock. If I look here, so we ended 2026 really nice, beating England 3-0, thinking, right, we've got a great little team here. And then we lose our first game in the qualifiers to Georgia 3-2. And then we drew with Scotland, but have beaten Bosnia. This was a massive shock. Georgia, who are 43rd in the world, there's nothing particularly special about them. They've got no real standout players. Fiorello I brought in, who this goes to show you, this guy Ivano Fiorello. I will show you much more of the squad as we go on. I won't show you it now because it's probably going to change again. But we're still a year away from the team from the Euros. Sorry, so I won't show you it now. But this guy, he's got 4 goals in 3 appearances. His average rating, certainly, well, at the time, I think it was not his average rating, it was his last 5 game rating, was like 9.2 at the start. By the time I went to pick the squad, so I'm like, I can't say no to him, and well, he certainly paid me back for that. Also introduced to this guy. I don't know how much how much game time he'll get, but heck, I don't even know if he'll get in the Euro 2028 team. But this is Wayudi. He is the Italian-Indonesian. He made his debut and obviously didn't have a great time against Georgia, but yeah, this is one of the most embarrassing defeats of my Football Manager career. I mean, I don't want to say I got FM'd or anything, because I didn't. Not a proper FMing. You know what an FMing, what's being FM'd is? It's basically when, you have like 50 shots and 20 on target and the CPU has 1 and only 1 shot and they win. And trust me, if you go on FM Base and FM Scout and the Football Manager subreddit, you will find people with stories like that. And then we have the 2-2 draw against Scotland, which I guess was a little bit steadier. Blandino, who I've talked about before, quality little player, plays for Roma, I think. Yep. Had so much potential, but I think he's not quite hit his potential. I remember one of my scouts saying, like, could be a world beater or something. Hasn't quite come that, but in fact, how many appearances has he had for his country? He's not had many. Yeah, he's only had 7. The majority of them have probably been under me. But we did beat Bosnia. This was much needed. Fiorello playing well again, and of course, Rocco playing. They were 2-0 up inside 17 minutes there, as you can see, and I was ready to just quit the Italian job and say, do you know what? Nice idea, nice try. Maybe come back and try again in a few years. But we got out of jail here. Hopefully, this is a turning point now. 2 real players as well. Oh no, sorry, no, it's not Armin Hadzic, who's a regen, and then. Sorry, do you know what? There's 2 players called Hadzic and Pjanic, and I thought in real life, and I thought, some sort of similar name, and I thought they were real. Turns out I was wrong. Okay, never mind. But Fiorello again, quality little player. This lad, as I say, he's plays for Verona. could become a bit of a linchpin for me. I'm hoping anyway. So we've got other teams in the group. We've got to play Georgia again. We still haven't played the Faroe Islands, which we're due to play next. That should hopefully be an easy walk in the park. I say with trepidation. Other teams to look out for then, playing well so far. So topping their groups are Ukraine, Slovenia, Greece. San Marino won a game. Holy shit. France there. There's Belgium, Norway, Slovakia, Sweden, Scotland topping theirs, Israel, Germany. Oh, they've only played 2 games. I was going to say, what's going on there? Portugal all the way down in 4th there. Again, they've only played a couple of games. Spain, the same. Don't know why that's the case. Well, yeah, so you may be wondering where England are. If you are wondering, they are hosting the Euros, which I can't find. Hang on. Be over here. Yes, a bit of a faff, I know. Yes, past winners. In fact, they are the reigning champions as well. It doesn't actually say. For some reason, it doesn't say. On FMC, it doesn't actually say hosts England like it used to, or wherever. But usually you can tell if the team isn't qualifying or they're not in a qualification group. In fact, you might say qualifiers. There you go. Yeah, seeding host nation England. Bit of a faff to find, but there you go. But I'm hoping we can qualify from this. It's not I don't know why we did so badly. I really can't put my finger on it, but I was going to try and blag it and say, oh yeah, this is going to be easy. We just had a bit of a bump. But actually, going back and remembering what happened, because I'm playing a few years ahead of you guys, and this was nightmarish. Nightmarish start for Italy, but I'm hoping we can get back on track. So, not the greatest season, I'm sure you will agree, overall for myself. But we're back in the Champions League. Financially, we're getting very stable now. We're fine. And I just need to have a play around with the team. It's as simple as that. Get rid of some players, get some new players in. Transfer budgets and stuff. Let's have a look at that. I showed you the managers, the Leafs managers in the last game. What are we up? We've got 38 million and a wage budget to just under 300k. So, there you go. If you want to see all the managers and things in the last, or the current managers of teams, please look in the last video, I think, or the previous, or the one before that one. So that'll be part 28. I think I did it, or maybe 29. I can't remember. It'll be one of the last 2 videos. The winners of the Champions League were in fact Real Madrid, which is quite astonishing because they haven't actually won in this game yet. Obviously, they were reigning champions when you booted up because they, of course, won in Lisbon last year. But yeah, it's the first time Real Madrid have actually won. And Inter, as you can see, knocked us out, got all the way to the final. So they're a kind of good team. At least they use that. I'll just hide behind that excuse. If you're wondering about as well the Europa League, who won? Actually, I'm actually intrigued myself. Schalke won that. Of course, we were the reigning champions. Man United actually got to the final in Florence. That's quite funny. Especially when you consider the fact that they've won the damn league. Anyways, that's going to do it from me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will be back then with the February review in 2028. Hopefully, we've improved as a team. I'll see you then. Goodbye for now.